Hey, 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 this is Dr. Day coming on here 1 hour before 2026. Y'all, can you believe that? I do, because we're still here. But I just wanted to come on here this evening and talk about going into 2026 with great expectations. The scripture, two scriptures I'm going to come out of, and the first one is Numbers 13. And in this, it talks about how God had told Moses to send 12 leaders from the ancestral tribe into the promised land to scout it out and to see. This was the land full of milk and honey, the blessings that God had bestowed upon them, and they was to go in there and see. And so as we look at that, um, one of the tribes was from the tribe of Judah was Caleb, and God told him to go in and explore the land. And in Numbers 13, verses 17, and Moses sent him to explore the land of Canaan and said to them, go up into this mountaintop. Just go up into the southland and go up into the mountain. He said, go up into the mountain. He didn't say keep going around the mountain. And in 2026, you got to go up on your mountain and you got to look over. Many of us in 2025, 24, 23, and we can go even go back to after COVID. Before COVID, we might have been going around and around this same mountain, and then COVID hit and things got to a standstill. But then after everything subsided, everything went back to not to its normal. But as things went on, we continued to go around this mountain. And he said, go up into the mountain and see. Now, when you go up and see, then as you're standing on the mountain, you can look over and there's things that you can see clearer and more than when you're going around. Because when you're going around, you're just walking around and you're looking at the same thing over and over. But as he said, go up into the mountain, look, see what's in the land. And and it was some things he told them, that to go into the land and dwell and to see if they are strong, how many is in the land, whether it's good land or bad land, or he just gave them all kind of things to look for. And he said, and you be courageous. God is telling you in 2026, be courageous. Go up on that mountain, look over that mountain and see what it is that the impossible dreams that you might have up on that mountain. As you looking, be courageous, because everything that you do, everything that I tell you to do, every place that I send you in 2026, you're going to have to be courageous. You cannot be afraid for people. The way this world is, people will have you in fear. It's got some people just even afraid to come out their house. But in 2026, you have to be courageous. And he said, and when you go in there, bring some of the fruit of the land. And God had already knew that when he was sending them into that land, that it was harvest time. So God is telling me to tell someone in 2026, this is your harvest time. This is your harvest time. You have let the harvest go in past years, and all the fruit and everything have rotten on your tree. But God said, not 2026. If you be courageous, if you stand flat foot, unwavering, unmoving, and always abounding in the things of Him, that you will uh, bring back the fruit of the blessings that He have for you. So then I'm going to skip down to 13:26, and it said, and when they returned, um, they brought a report back to Moses, and they said, we came to the land where you sent us, and surely it flows with milk and honey. However, and you don't never want to start your sentence however, because however is a contradict or a contract, or in spite of the people are strong, there are going to be some strongholds in your life in 2026. But you got to know that you're stronger than whatever it is that you might see before you. Even though trials and tribulations, because the word said we're going to have trials and tribulations, there's no getting around. There's no getting around it. The word tells us that they might be great, and they might seem like they're giants. It might seem like in 2025 that you had some giants, but baby, you're going to have some giants in 2026. But you got to know that if God sends you out and gives you instructions to do something, if God say do it, do it, do it, do it, you just best believe do it. Don't worry about the giants, because the bigger they are, the harder they fall, or I don't forget how it go, y'all. But you know what I'm trying to say, that there's going to be some giants in 2026, but it's all right, because God said that he would never leave you nor forsake you. And so they went in there and they seen the Ammonite, Hibonite, Kizanites, or whatever knights they was. And yes, they might been bigger than them. And because it brought fear on them. And so out of the 12, 10 came back with a negative report. And so you got to stop allowing Bebe and Pookie and Bebe and all of them tell you or dissuade you from the things of God. First of all, you can't tell Pookie and Bebe and them everything that God has told you to do, because everybody is not for you. There are going to be some people that are going to be jealous of you, and there are going to be some people that don't want you to succeed and don't want you to do what God has called you to do. And so you got to be like what Caleb did in verse 30. It said Caleb silenced the people before Moses. Okay? Caleb silenced, and sometimes you got to go on a mute. You got to put people on mute. You know how you mute your phone? A good example was today. I went to the store, and usually when I go to the store, I'm not one of those people. I could do without a cell phone, for real, for real. But my kids, 2 sons, want me to have it because they said anything could happen, and I understand that. But when I go into the store, I always put my phone on vibrate or mute, because I'm not one of those ones standing in the line holding a conversation where everybody can listen to my business. Because I always tell my 2 sons, and like I tell my grandkids, my grandson and my granddaughter, they're teenagers and they have a phone. If you're not making $1 million transaction, then it's not that serious. You can wait till you get, wherever your destination. You could wait. But I had my phone on mute and I didn't realize that I hadn't taken it off. So later on when I came home, it must have been about 7:30, something to 8. I was like, dude, it's getting ready to go into the new year and ain't nobody called me, ain't nobody said nothing to me. And I looked down at my phone as I was studying, the word, looking at the word. I seen that I had a few missed calls in voice messages. And so I checked the messages, and they said, well, I was trying to reach you. So something said, go into settings. I went into settings, and the settings was still on mute. And I was like, oh, that's why I missed it. But I needed to have that silence. I needed to have it mute so that I could sit here and read the word. So sometimes you got to silence, you got to mute people. There's always going to be some people that's always going to have something negative to say about what God has called you to do. There are always going to be some people because they don't want to do what God has called them to do. They don't want you to achieve. Those people that you were in grade school with and they knew you when, and they still think that you that same person that you was 50 years ago. So sometimes you got to put yourself on mute. You got to take you away from the TV. You got to get out of, the TV. And I was telling someone, Verizon, you spend all this money for Verizon and they're paying Back to the Future, Home Alone, stuff that you have seen year after year after year. It's nothing new. So I'm about to just get just totally just like forget this. You spend all that money and there's nothing new. And plus the fact the time that you spend looking at all these things, the time that you spend on Netflix and Tubi or Tubi, Freebie, whatever it is, Prime, whatever it is, that's time away that you're taking from your purpose and your destiny. You only have so many hours in a day. And so if you so sit there and concentrated on spending that time doing things that has no value, then the clock is ticking and you're wondering why in 2026 you're going to be doing the same thing you did in 2025. So you have to make a shift in the next hour of and have a different mindset when you go over into 2026, that you're going to silence some people, you're going to silence that phone, and you're going to do some things that's constructive, some things that's going to bring glory to the Lord. So Caleb silenced the people and said, let us go up at once and possess it, for we are able to overcome it. God is wanting me to tell you that in 2026, whatever it is that might have got you down in 2025, you're able to overcome it. You have to believe with a shadow of doubt that the God that you serve is the God that is well able to take you from point A to point B. And if you follow his instructions, if you be obedient to him, that you might be a few mishaps, but he's not going to put no more on you than you can bear. And what happened was Pookie and Bebe said, we are not able to go up against the people because they are stronger than we. We are like grasshoppers in their sight. I skipped down to verse 33. This is what they said. We are like grasshoppers. And so we were in their eyes. 2026, you got to think of yourself different. You can't be calling yourself that you can't do this, you ugly, you this, you fat, you this. You can't be speaking those negative things over yourself. You got to see yourself better than what everybody else see you. If everybody else is talking about you, if everybody else see you the way they see you, because let me tell you something, baby, beauty's in the eyes of the beholder. And so you got to see yourself better than what other people, and don't worry about what people say in 2026. People don't have a heaven nor a hell to put you in. So you got to remember that don't be letting people tell you that you can't do this and you can't do that when God has already told you. Now God will give you instructions, and he might not give you all at one time. He give you bits and pieces because he know that, too many times we want, if he gave all of us everything straight in a narrow path, straight everything A to Z, that because we think we're so more mightier than God, that we will go before God and we will alter it and will mess it up. So in 2026, you got to see yourself better than you seen yourself in 2025. So then I want to skip over to Joshua 14, and this is after they had went into the promised land. And chapter 14, verse 2, it says, and these are the territories that the children of Israel inherit in the land of Canaan. Joshua the son of Nun and the family leaders of the Israelite tribes assigned to them, their inheritance fell to them by lot. In 2026, God is saying to you that there is some inheritance that I have for you. Because if you be faithful and obedient, then God has some inheritance for you, and that the inheritance will leave for you, your kids, 10, 12 generations now. But there's some blessings that God wants to give you in 2026, but you have to be obedient to the word of God. Then I want to skip down to 14 verse 7. Now, this is Caleb. He said, I was 40 years old when Moses, the servant of the Lord, sent me. God want me to tell you that in 2026, it don't matter if you 45, 50, 60, or 70, God is still able to use you. As long as you have breath in your body, God is able to use you. Caleb said that, I went there I seen with my eyes the blessings that God has for me. I seen it. And when God sent me, I brought back to him, saying he brought back to Moses a good report. It was in my heart. Why was it in his heart? Because he stood on the faith. He knew what God had said to him. He knew what God had said to the children of Israel. So in 2026, you got to know in your heart, deep down in your heart, the knowing of knowing that what God has said to you shall come to pass if you just be obedient and you be faithful to him, and you don't sway and allow people to get in your ear. Maybe in 2025 you allow Bebe and Pookie and Bebe and them to talk you out of some things that God has for you. But if you want to keep going around that same mountain doing the same thing, then you keep letting people talk into your ears. You keep walking around faith, doubt, and unbelief that God is well able to do what he said he's able to do. And so it go on. It said on verse 9, and on that day Moses swore an oath, the land on which your foot treads shall be your inheritance. God is saying in 2026, wherever the soles of your feet tread, you shall prosper. And you're not going to prosper if you being disobedient to the things of God. Now, people want to be prosperous and they want to have all the blessings of God, but then they don't want to follow and be obedient to the things of God. And God is not going to honor that. You have to have obedience and you have to do what God tells you to do. And it's not your way and it's not the highway, it's God's way. And it says, and when you obedient, it says, the land on which your foot treads shall be your inheritance for your descendants perpetually. In other words, it'll continue the blessings that I have for you and your generations, my grandkids, their kids, and their kids, and their kids. You might not be here to see the third or fourth or 10th generations, but when you walk in the obedience of God, there is sure a blessings that was to be given over to you. And verse 10 said, now the Lord, this is Caleb still speaking. He said, now the Lord has kept me alive, just as he said, for 45 years. And he said, I am this day. He's 85 years old. And what did Caleb say? I like my man Caleb. He 85. He said, I'm just still as strong as I today as I was on the day that Moses sent me. It don't matter what age you are. You got to know that as long as you have breath in your body, you got strength. But you got to do things in the strength of God, not in your strength. You got to remember that. You got to do it in the strength of God, not in your strength. I look over my life. I am 71 years of age. I might not can run a marathon like I used to when I was in the military, but I have strength enough to do what God has called me to do, writing these books. I'm getting ready to, I've written two books, Single and Soul Out to God and Soul Hydration. I'm getting ready to publish 66 affirmations for women over 70. Yes, because people think when we 70, people think when you hit over 60, I'm not going to even say 50, I'm going to say 60. And then when you hit 70, surely they think you need to be sitting on a porch in a rocking chair. But I want to give some encouragement to some women that's, over 60, that's some affirmations to speak over your life. As long as you have, breath in your body, just as Caleb said, he's 85 years of age. Speak things, speak life. As long as you have breath in your body, speak life. Always speak life. You know, God has great things. You have so much wisdom. You have lived a life. You got things that you can tell this generation because surely they need to hear some things. Because this generation, and they just all over the place. And it's not like the millennium and the X and the Z's or whatever, it is. It's everybody. They're just all over the place. And I've got some wisdom that I can share. I've been to 9 different countries in my life. And how many people really can say that? And especially African American people. How many people can unless you have money? I don't have any money. Well, I ain't gonna say I don't have any money, but at the times that I went to those, it was because of God. I was in the military. I went to Germany. I went to England. As a matter of fact, I got pictures when the Queen came past in the carriage, Buckingham Palace. I went to Belgium. I went to Holland. I went to Paris, France. I went to Africa twice, Uganda and Kenya. I went to Brazil and I went to India. I went to India. So it doesn't matter how old you are. If God wants to use you, God will use you. You just have to be willing and obedient and obey the call. Don't think that just because you hit a certain milestone of age that you just sit on the porch and you look at your little grandkids running around. No, like I be telling people all the time, live. My next venture, I want to go on the California Zeppelin. I think that's what it is. You go out of Chicago and you go up into Averyville, California, ride that Amtrak. I'm getting me a sleeper car. And I want to get one that has the restroom in it, so I ain't got to come out and bother nobody. Give me some potato chips and give me some soda and, whatever else, my little snacks, and go through the mountains of Arizona, Montana, Utah, what I see on TV, because I love the beautiness and the vastness of God. And I'm going to ride that Amtrak through that corridor. Now, do I need to have a significant other with me? No. Would I like a significant other? Yeah. But if it's not, I'm not going to stress about it. But I am going to do that as long as I have breath in my body. So I'm saying to somebody, as long as you have breath in your body, do those things that you have on your bucket list. That's on my bucket list. I forgot. I've been to Hawaii. I forgot about that. I've been to Hawaii. So that's 10 countries. Been to Hawaii. And I forgot about that. Yes. So don't be worried about how old you are in 2026. Live. Live. I tell people live. Next week I'm leaving to go down to Montrose, Virginia. This year I've been, to Georgia. Then I'm gonna go to Nashville, and and somebody might say, "Oh, those just little states," but baby, I did something. I ain't sit in the house and watch Tubi and Netflix and Prime and all the stuff that has no substance and no value. And you spending all this money on Amazon and they playing the same thing over and over and over. No, live. 2026, live. Live. Even if I just have enough money to pay the Amtrak round trip and get a hotel room. I was in the military, so I know how to take sardines and Vienna sausage and pottage meat and be full, peanut butter and jelly, and drink some water and call it a day. You don't have to have $1 million to enjoy life. But I'm just saying, it doesn't matter how old you are, just enjoy 2026, enjoy. And so let me go on. And he said, Moses sent me. Now give me this hill country that the Lord spoke about on that day. And then Joshua blessed him and he gave Caleb, his inheritance. So I just stopped on here for this quick little how long I've been on here to tell someone that in 2026, you have to, number one, follow God. Whatever God tells you to do, put all that stuff on mute, silence people, take a Selah moment, do some strategies and do some deep down instructions, uh, listening to God, and find ways to do things that God has told you to do, those books that sing you, those songs, whatever it is that God has told you to do. We all have gifts and talents. God has given each one of us something. Don't be comparing yourself to nobody else. You are who you are. Use the gift, like Aaron had Moses had the rod. What the what do you have in your hand? What can be useful that you knew that can be used, that God would get the glory out of your life? So in 2026, follow God. In 2026, no, God gives promises to you and to your children. Like I said, there's an inheritance for your children. Know that. Work towards the inheritance. Don't leave here and not allow your kids and your grandkids to have an inheritance. And then in 2026, know that there is no fear in God. Caleb went in there, even though those giants was in the land. He wasn't like Bebe and Pookie and Bebe. He wasn't fearful. God has not given you the spirit of fear, but of power and a sound mind. You have to know that. Know in 2026, we look at what's going on around in the world, what's going on in the economy. People are fearful from coming out their house. It's just people fear is just rampant. It's just that spirit just is taking over people. People have no gumption and umption to get up and do nothing. They're afraid that every little thing that happened. Stop looking at the news. If you're one of those people that's fearful in 2026, make it your mind not to always looking at the news. Why? Because it's depressing. If you have to look at it enough to know what to pray about. We need some more prayer warriors. We need some more watchmen on the wall. So if you have to look at it for that purpose, but not to be in fear, because God has not given you a spirit of fear. And in 2026, know that it doesn't matter how old you are. God kept you for such a time as this. I am 71 years of age, and I think that I look beautiful. You know, I be telling people that I'm 71, and people be like, "Girl, you're not 71 yet." Now, sometimes my little legs and my little arms be feeling like 71, but by the most part, I still have a lot to do. I still have great things to do. Getting ready to publish, a book, and get ready to do my 66 affirmations for women over 70. I got a clothing line that I'm coming out with my logo that's, Living Destiny, LD, Living Destiny. There's so many great things that you have that God wants you to do. So don't be worrying about how old you are. God has kept you for such a time as this. We got 30 minutes before we go over into 2026. God kept you here for a reason. There's a whole bunch of people that that didn't make it over. And then in 2026, realize the strength God has given you, and stop doing things in your strength. Do it in the strength of God. And in 2026, most of all, speak to that mountain. When he told Clay and Caleb, no, don't keep going around that same mountain all the time. Walk up that mountain, look over there as far as you can see. There's blessings. Speak to the mountains. You're going to have some mountains in your life. Why? Because God said in this life we were going to have some troubles, but you got to speak to them. You got to have your faith as small as that little mustard seed, and you got to speak to that mountain. You got to know that when you speak to that mountain got to move. Whether you think it's not going to move or not, you got to believe it's moved. And then you got to walk up on it, stand over there, look, and just envision yourself in 2026 in things or places or whatever that you have never even envisioned. In what I want to say, expand your horizon. Get out the box. Take God out the box. Take yourself out the box. Too many times we put ourselves in a box. We limit ourselves because we think we got to have this, or we can't do this. No, you're well able. And know that God will be with you no matter what you're going through. Don't be like those 10 spies. Joshua and Caleb was the only two that came back with a good report, and they was able to receive their blessings. And the Bible doesn't tell us, I don't think, but those other 10 people, they did, I don't know if they received their blessings. You got to know without a shadow of a doubt, you got to stop being afraid. Stop living in fear. Fear is what keep you complacent. Fear keeps you stagnant. Fear keeps you where you're not able to move. Fear keep you that when God give you an assignment, you missed the assignment because you're fearful. Not in 2026. Don't be fearful. If you was fearful in 2025, purpose in your mind, ask God to give you more strength. He'll give it to you. Whatever you need, whatever you desire, whatever you're hoping, whatever you're thinking, just ask God. God has been waiting for you to commune with him. Maybe you haven't spent in 2025, time with God more, but do it more in 2026. Don't go into 2026 with some kind of slogan, like we say 20 something something is the year of the manifestation, and then all year don't went by and you haven't manifest nothing. So now you're beating yourself up. Go when that clock hit 12:01, go with a different mindset. Change your mindset. Know that God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all we can think, hope, or imagine. And he's just waiting for you to get in the wagon with him. He wants you to remember, like the footprints in the sand. He's carrying you. You don't have to carry those things all by yourself. So in 2026, go over there with like I said, with a new expectations, new hope, new vigor, new vitality. If you haven't been taking vitamins in 2025, take some vitamins in 2026. If you need some vitamins, do whatever you have to do in 2026 differently than you did in 2025 and 24. The truth be told, many of us has followed over things from 24 to 25. Don't bring none of that mess over in 2026. This is a new beginning. Let it be a new beginning, a new horizon. Don't put old wine in new wineskin. This is the message that God told me to tell you in 2026. Don't bring old wine into new things that God has for you. And my God has some great things for all of us. He's just waiting for us. So, y'all, 2026 is going to be great if you believe it. If you even think or even see some grasshoppers in your way, know that you're well able to overcome them. Be like Caleb said, no, that's not what my God who's faithful, my God said this, my God said that. And you got to believe it without a shadow of a doubt, no matter what it looked like. So don't go into 2026 with that old mess and that stinking thinking. Go into 2026, a new horizon, great expectation. Get up on that mountaintop and look over the mountain and see beyond what you always seen. Because there's more to it, because God is ever moving, He's everlasting, He's wise, and He's wise and He's wise and He's our eternal God. There's nothing that God cannot do. But He wants you in 2026, y'all, to follow Him. Stop being afraid. Yes, we see all kind of stuff with the people that's supposed to be leading us, and you know they leading us. I don't know where they leading us, but you got to stop trusting in them and trust in the Lord and let the Lord lead you. Stop being afraid. You might not have everything that you want. It might look dismal and it might look this and that, but God's still up on that throne. He sits high and he looks low, and there's nothing too hard for God. So, as I wind down my message for 2026, the three things that if you don't remember nothing else, be like Caleb. He followed, he walked in his faith. He followed God. God said, go into that promised land. He was going in there, hell or high waters, giants or no giants. We going in there and we possessing it and we taking it. And he said, we are well able. So 2026, you're well able to do whatever God told you to do. Do not be afraid. Caleb and Joshua was not afraid. Those other people, Pookie, Baby, and all of them, let them be afraid. Mute them, put them on silence and leave them alone. If they want to be naysayers or they want to be negative and always want to pull you into their little spiral that they're going of fear. No, don't be having no fear. You came out of COVID. People were fearful in COVID, and God allowed you to make it to this point. Oh, if you made it then, baby, you can make it in 2026. And then recognize the strength. You are stronger than what you think you are. No matter what hits you upside the head, no matter what try to knock you down, get up. You know that little punching bag thing? Get up. Punch you down, get up. Be like the energized bunny. Take a licking and keep on ticking. So, y'all, Dr. Day says to whoever is listening to this, 2026, follow God. Stop being afraid and recognize your strength and walk in to the blessings that God has for you. So, we have 30 more minutes before we walk into a new year. Let 2026 be the year that will blow your mind. Not because God want to blow your mind, because he's been wanting to blow your mind all the other years, but it be blow your mind because you finally accepted who God is, number one, and who you are, that you're well able. You're well able to do whatever God told you to do. Write that book, write that song, whatever it is. I don't know what God told you to do. Only you and God know. But baby, you're well able to do it. Let it be 2026. So, y'all, on that note, Dr. Day says, have a happy new year. Be safe. Be blessed. And I'm looking forward to testimonies on how 2026 is the year that you made a change and it changed your life because you believed what God said in this right here. So happy new year, and I see